Shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Kalshi. Big ups to Kalshi on board with Mets Daily. We'll get more into Kalshi in just a little bit. A stress-free Mets victory. How about that? How many times have we stressed, even in the few victories that the Mets have, as they pick up their 10th win? They were 9-19. Going into Tuesday, they decided to keep Carlos Mendoza. And hey, what did they do? They came out and scored 8 runs. Clay Holmes pitched a gem, 6 shutout innings, 3 hits, 6 Ks. Bo Bichette started the game with a leadoff homer. He's actually worked out really well so far in that leadoff spot. Juan Soto hits a home run. Juan Soto having some fun with the Nationals. Catcher saying, do you want me to swing or not swing? And, you can have fun when you're up 8-0. That was a cool little moment with Soto, taking a couple of pitches. Would have been nice if he homered after that, but he homered anyway in the game. And the Mets win the ball game. And listen, you got to enjoy those while you can. In this brutal season thus far, anytime you can get a win where you don't have to stress too much about it, you'll take it. You'll sign up for that. And, you saw some signs from this offense of, hey, if they could get this thing going. Listen, I've been on Team Ronnie Mauricio always, and a lot of people have said this guy doesn't have. Ronnie Mauricio, all he's doing is hitting for the Mets. He's had pretty much a hit every game he's played almost. Some games multiple. He is a hit machine, especially from the left side of the plate. So if you keep Ronnie Mauricio lefty, he's going to hit. Juan Soto is going to hit. Juan Soto dealing with a bit of an injury, but, still going to play a forearm injury. We'll talk about the injuries in just a little bit, but really good stuff from the New York Mets. You're watching Mets Daily. I'm Jake Brown. Smash that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button below. Comment below as well. We've passed 4,200. Let's get to 5,000 subscribers. So keep hitting subscribe. Hit that share. Hit that repost. You probably have seen clips maybe from Facebook or remember those clips. I don't put those out there. So, those clips are generated fan art. That's not me, those clips. Any clips that are put out there from me are from my social accounts. So that is our show accounts, but I am not personally putting those out. I don't monitor those. I don't have access to those pages. So just remember that if you're here and you saw a thing on Facebook, comment here and I'll see the comment here because I don't really use Facebook that much and I'm not on that account. So just a heads up on that because I think some people think that I'm personally posting all that stuff and I'm not. But listen, the Mets 10-19. A win's a win. You'll take it. Now make it a couple. Sweep this series. Enough. I don't even want to hear 2 out of 3. And it's still same boat as yesterday. We talked about Nelson Figueroa. Check out the show. If they lose 2 out of 3 or swept, I still think Thursday Mendy's fired. So I think you win today, Mendy's safe for the West Coast trip. You lose today, I think his job comes down to Thursday because Tuesday was nice and all, but it's about stringing wins together and putting a streak together. You completely fall back flat on your face if you go out there today and you lose to the Nationals. The Nationals have no pitching. I mean, you saw yesterday. I mean, Littell is bad. Their starting pitching has just been atrocious. And tonight it's going to be Cavalli on the mound against David Peterson. And man, this could be David Peterson's last chance. Let's be real. David Peterson was booted to the bullpen. Now they're going to give him another shot in the rotation. It's your time. And no more excuses. David Peterson, this is it for him. You can't just keep trotting him out there. You're almost blessing him, giving him another shot here where he might not deserve one. He's got to go out and prove himself. Because if not, the Mets are going to have to kick him to the curb at some point. I hate to say that. David Peterson's been a pretty good Met, but you can't just because you like the guy keep throwing him out there. You just can't. The Phillies decided to not throw Rob Thompson out there as he has been canned. And, a couple different points on this. And I posted a social video at Jake Brown Live yesterday on this. One, well, Rob Thompson is towards, I think Rob Thompson wants to retire. I think he's set now. I love that he did a press conference and addressed the media. Good guy, good manager. Guy had, led the Phillies to a World Series appearance when he took over for Joe Girardi. Mind you, that team was struggling. Early June is when they made the move. So maybe, Mendoza at some point, if they win and then lose and win, lose, at some point early June, the Mets will say, hey, let's do what the Phillies did. It worked for them in 2022. He led them to the World Series. They lost, but he gets canned after 3 90-plus win seasons. But different situation. One, he's in his mid-60s. Carlos Mendoza is not. So, Rob Thompson might end up retiring. Two, Don Mattingly is the bench coach. Don Mattingly had 12 big league years of experience. It makes sense to fill in. Like, Don Mattingly would probably be managing a bunch of other teams. So that makes sense. 3, the Phillies GM is Don Mattingly's son. I mean, when has that ever? I don't think it's ever happened where the son hired the dad to be the new manager. So a very unique situation in Philadelphia. Alex Cora, I think, they had their success with him. They felt he wasn't going to get them back over the hump. Obviously, won the World Series his first year as a manager. Got back to relevance. He made the playoffs last year, but they didn't like the start he had. He declined the Phillies job. So Alex Cora, that is a name the Mets has to be atop the Mets list. Like, you're essentially going to write Alex Cora a blank check to manage the 2027 Mets. He's not managing this year. He said he's spending time with his family, so he turned down the Phillies offer. If the Mets offer became available, pretty sure he's turning that down too. So he's taking this year off. And why would he not? He's getting $7 million to do nothing. I would do the same thing if I had a managerial job as a lock once the season ends. So it'll be either Mets, Phillies, or another opening. But if you're David Stearns, and David Stearns is still here, and Steve Cohen, Alex Cora is the kind of manager you want. Like, that's who you want. And I know Cora has had some issues in the past, but the reality is he's a very good manager, and that is who I think the Mets would transition to if he were interested. And I gotta think Cora's interested. The Mets have the money to pay him. Does he go to Philadelphia? Does he go to the Mets, or he goes elsewhere? Goes from Boston to New York would be pretty interesting. But I gotta figure the Mets job would be intriguing to Alex Cora. Kalshi is also intriguing with baseball season here now. You can trade every game on Kalshi. On Kalshi, you can trade every single game. For example, our New York Mets are trading at just around a 3% probability to win it all, meaning a $100 trade pays out $2,785 plus with a win. 100 to win $2,785 a win. The Mets tonight, to beat the Nationals, are trading at around 60%, meaning a $100 trade will get you right around $160 if they win. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything. Mets are going to have to potentially trade Kodai Senga at some point because Kodai Senga is on the IL with lumbar tightness in his back, lower back tightness. Christian Scott replaces him. So Christian Scott is going to get another chance. I believe he's going to start this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So Christian Scott, I'm excited for him, man. I think the emotions got the best of him. Freddie Peralta's Thursday. I believe Christian Scott will pitch on Friday for the Mets. That is, yes, Friday for the Mets in Los Angeles against the Angels. So he'll get a second chance. Kodai Senga, I mean, this feels like it could be the end of the road for him in a Mets uniform. We'll see, but we'll see how long this injury is. He complained about the tightness after his last start. Luis Robert, another guy, day-to-day with lower back tightness. He this is not good. Luis Robert has dealt with injuries in the past. Your hope is that he's going to be just fine, but Luis Robert, obviously a guy that has spent time on the injury list, so we'll see how that materializes, but he is day-to-day for now. And Soto dealing with forearm tightness. Still going to DH, clearly, because he homered last night. But Juan Soto, forearm tightness, and he's still going to DH. The Mets say at some point soon he'll be good to play the outfield. And the Mets could really use him in the outfield. Like I talked about yesterday, it's hurting them positional-wise that he can't play there. But I want to keep seeing MJ Melendez. I'm glad the Mets finally are putting MJ Melendez in left field. But your goal is ideally, and Benj is hitting better. Benj with a 2-hit day. Benj, I think, is earning his playing time. I don't think they're going to send him down yet. So good for Carson Benj, knowing that the clock is ticking for him to go down and that, the Mets got to keep him around right now. So I would love to see, Melendez DH, right field Benj, left field Soto once Soto is ready to play the field. That's what you want. And, another, name to keep an eye on if the Mets need him, if there's other injuries, is Ryan Clifford, who homered again last night, hit a piss missile. So I'm curious at some point if we see Ryan Clifford. But yeah, and 80% is what Jorge Polanco is running at with that bursitis in his knee. So Jorge Polanco maybe on the horizon. You see him in the dugout celebrating with the guys. You see that, the hat, the hard hat, the vest, all good vibes for the Mets. And now they got to put a streak. It's good when you win one. Now, win 3 in a row. Go to the West Coast on a little win streak here. Obviously, still very early, just 29 games in. Plenty of time for the Mets to get it going. Will they get it going is the question to save Mendy's job. I still believe in this team. I know we've been demoralized, but I just think there's just too much talent here for us to really think otherwise. So I think they will get this going. When will it be? How will it be? We'll see. But you got to get this thing going here. You got to get this thing going. The clock is starting to tick for Mendy. The clock is ticking on the season. The Mets, we mentioned this yesterday. The Mets took a risk by not selling single-game tickets for the second half of their season because they were thinking they could incorporate dynamic pricing and raise the roof off those tickets. Well, that screwed Steve Cohen and the Mets. Because at the moment, those tickets would go for pennies. So I think the Mets try to get a little greedy with the second half dynamic pricing thing. I think they're going to learn a lesson from this of just set a price. None of this dynamic pricing BS. The prices are already exorbitantly high. Well, you can't live on dynamic pricing hoping the team's going to be great. And they've gone down the crapper. Now, I'm sure Cohen is also hoping, hey, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it now. Let's do it now. In my best Arnold voice, because if they have a super hot May, then he could be like, all right, we're back. Now I could raise the prices on second half tickets. So, they took the risk. Now they got to get this thing going. We're going to read your comments, guys, on tomorrow's show. I got to go. I'm headed to New York right now. We'll be at the game tomorrow. Stay tuned. Follow me on socials at Jake Brown Live. Shout out to Kalshi, and thank you to you listeners, you viewers. Please go into Apple Podcasts and Spotify, guys, right now. Give us a 5-star rating. They were telling me promote Apple, Spotify to give us a 5-star rating in there. And please write a positive review on Apple Podcasts. Spotify, I don't believe there's a section for reviews. We need to go boost our ranking. So 5 stars Spotify, 5 stars Apple Podcasts. Smash a thumbs up on this video. Those help the video grow. So appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button below and make sure you share the channel below. And go follow me, my YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Jake Brown Live. In my TikTok bio, Instagram bio, you'll see how to join my Discord on there. Just $5 a month for exclusive access to talk with me and the other members of the JBL community. So thank you so much for your support. Off to New York. We'll end April tomorrow and then flip the calendar to May. April showers bring May flowers. Mets need some flowers. Let's make it 2 in a row tonight. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on Mets Daily.